When will we achieve AGI, artificial general intelligence? It's a question that I think about personally a lot, but I think it's something that we should be talking more about because I think the definition of both artificial intelligence and AGI is changing by the day. And I think that there's maybe one kind of secret thing holding us back from achieving AGI. All right, I'm going to be talking about that today and more on Everyday AI. What's going on, y'all? My name is Jordan Wilson, and I'm the host, and Everyday AI is for you. It's a daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping us all understand AI and who knows, maybe AGI, so we can grow our companies and grow our careers. So if that sounds like you, maybe you are brand new here. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to check out the podcast show notes for more related episodes and to get to our website. You need to get there if you haven't already. Go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. So yeah, this is a podcast and live stream, but we have a newsletter every single day recapping both the show and literally everything else you need to stay ahead of AI to grow your company and to grow your career. It is a free cheat sheet, so you should be going there. All right, so I'm excited today to talk about when we will achieve AGI, or maybe if we will. All right, because I think some of what we're going to be talking about today is going to be surprising you. So before we get into it, though, let's start as we do every day by going over the AI news. All right, so authors are now suing Anthropic over alleged copyright infringement in AI training. So, a group of authors has filed a lawsuit against the AI startup Anthropic, claiming that it has engaged in quote unquote large scale theft by training its chatbot Claude on pirated copies of copyrighted books. This marks a significant moment in the ongoing legal battle surrounding artificial intelligence and copyright issues. So, the lawsuit was filed in federal court in San Francisco by authors Andrea Bartz, Charles Graeber, and Kirk Wallace Johnson, who seek to represent a class of authors in similar situations. This is the first lawsuit from writers specifically targeting Anthropic, despite many other lawsuits in similar cases against its competitor OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT. The authors accuse Anthropic of violating copyright laws by using a data set known as the pile, which allegedly contains a significant number of pirated works. The lawsuit argues that Anthropic's practices contradict its claim of being a responsible developer of AI technology, stating that the company profits from strip mining human creativity. All right. Our next piece of AI news. Google and its Gemini team announced access to 1.5 billion free tokens a day. Yes. So the Google Gemini team announced just kind of on the down low on Twitter. And it's making headlines by offering an unprecedented amount of free tokens, 1.5 billion tokens for free each day for developers, a move that stands to transform the landscape of AI development for both aspiring and established developers. So this follows closely after essentially OpenAI said a similar thing. Hey, it's free until the middle of September. So the Gemini 1.5 Flash free tier grants developers 15 requests per minute, 1 million tokens per minute, and 1,500 requests per day. That means that the developers can experiment and build applications without immediate financial pressure, fostering innovation in the AI space. In addition, this new free tier includes context caching for up to 1 million tokens of storage per hour and free fine-tuning capabilities, which are crucial for developers looking to optimize their models for specific tasks. Y'all, I feel bad for companies that were super early to this generative AI boom like 2 years ago. A company doing this would have spent probably millions of dollars and not done a very good job. And now it's I mean, companies are making intelligence and compute too cheap to meter. All right, last but not least, OpenAI has announced, or it's been reported, that OpenAI has its first federal partnership with USAID to implement ChatGPT Enterprise for federal use. So OpenAI has made headlines by partnering with the U.S. Agency for International Development, marking U.S. aid as its first federal agency customer for ChatGPT Enterprise. So OpenAI's ChatGPT Enterprise is designed for larger organizations, providing advanced analytics and customization features that can enhance efficiency in government operations. So the company is pursuing FedRAMP moderate accreditation, which would enable ChatGPT Enterprise to handle moderately sensitive federal data, expanding its potential use within the government agencies. The U.S. White House Biden administration's recent executive order encourages federal agencies to adopt generative AI technologies while addressing concerns about data security and bias. So yeah, pretty big news there. Federal government kind of striking an official partnership with OpenAI, and a federal agency will be using ChatGPT, the Enterprise Edition. And hey, by the way, if you have ChatGPT Enterprise, if your company does, do you know we train companies on that? It's like one of the big things we do, FYI. So yeah, reach out if you or your team needs help with ChatGPT. All right, so let's get into it, y'all. Let's talk about the big thing here. When will we achieve AGI? And I think one kind of secret relationship or one kind of fine print that might be keeping development back. All right. So I'm super excited for today's conversation. So I'd love to hear from our live stream audience. Yeah. Hey, podcast audience, you might get tired of, I don't know, hearing questions from the live stream audience. You might be like, oh, I wish I could get my questions answered. Well, join us. We do this live every single day at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So yeah, let me know, everyone, what are your questions on AGI? Do you think we're going to get there? What do you think is holding us back right now? All right, so let's just go ahead and start at the end. I'm not going to make you wait. All right, but I think right now we are much closer to artificial general intelligence than most people think. All right, don't worry. I'm going to get to what it means, the definitions and the differences between. Don't worry. But one of the reasons why I think we haven't, quote unquote, officially achieved AGI or artificial general intelligence is because the goalposts are constantly moving. All right. I'm going to have a little bit, you know, we always bring receipts, y'all. It's Hot Take Tuesday as well. I should have called that out, y'all. So let me know. Should I be middle of the road or should I really bring the heat? But here's what I think is holding us back. It's actually some of the fine print and some of the details between OpenAI's partnership with Microsoft. All right. So that's high level, y'all. And we're going to dive into it now. But I think if we were using old standards, if I'm being honest, I think we would already technically have achieved AGI. But the goalposts are always moving. I think as large language models are getting more advanced, I think the goalposts are moving on what AGI even means, artificial general intelligence. All right. It looks like Michael said 3 flame emojis, so we'll see. Maybe we'll keep it tame. It looks like everyone wants a tame show today. That's fine. We can do that. All right. So let's go ahead and put some definitions out there. All right. Because yeah, maybe if you are new to this whole AI scene, generative AI, maybe you're not sure. Maybe you don't know what AGI even is. So let's go ahead and define it. Okay. Yes, because the definitions are constantly changing. So let's take a look at artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, and then artificial superintelligence. So let's start with AI. And let me just start by saying this. AI is not new, right? Artificial intelligence has been used in many different industries for decades. It actually goes back to the 40s and 50s. And it's been widely used by many industries since the 70s and 80s. Artificial intelligence is not new. We've had machine learning. We've had kind of this deep learning phase as well. So artificial intelligence by itself is not new, but let's go ahead and define it. So these are my definitions too. All right. So artificial intelligence is when machines or software designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as recognizing images, translating languages, or making decisions. And I will say traditional, quote unquote, traditional artificial intelligence is really based on a set of rules, a set of algorithms, decision trees, right? It's programmed. There's bits and bytes almost, right? Traditional artificial intelligence. So, like I said, an easy example that's been around for decades, right, is when banks are giving out loans and they have essentially algorithms, right? You go into an office, you probably give someone information, you fill out a form, they enter that form, and then there's an artificial intelligence algorithm that says, okay, is this person really qualified for this loan or not, right? Maybe if it's a big loan, you might have filled out a ton of paperwork. So there's a ton of different pieces of data that you're essentially giving the bank. And then the bank uses artificial intelligence to essentially assign different values and to see if you are too risky for the loan, right? So AI has been around for a very long time. It's not new, right? And you've probably been exposed to artificial intelligence even in your daily lives, well before ChatGPT. All right. But obviously, I will say this. And I was at the NVIDIA GTC conference a couple months ago. And its CEO, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, kind of said that, generative AI and large language models marks this new era of artificial intelligence. And I absolutely agree. Kind of this generative AI, right? So generative AI is a little different than artificial intelligence, kind of, quote unquote, old school. But, generative AI, not to be confused with artificial general intelligence, is different. Generative AI, it, it brings, it democratizes, right? AI for everyone. Because before, let's say 2020, right? Yes, ChatGPT was, released to the masses in November 2022. And I do think that's the turning point. But this generative AI technology was available through other providers. OpenAI made their technology available to third-party developers back in 2020. So pre-2020, I say that's traditional AI, right? Yeah, I'm slapping my own labels on this, right? Now we have generative AI. It is kind of this next advancement of artificial intelligence that lowers the learning curve to like zero, y'all. I mean, to take advantage of artificial intelligence pre 2020, I mean, if I'm being honest, you either had to be a specialist working at one of these companies that had niche use cases for artificial intelligence, or you had to be a deep learning, machine learning expert, right? You had to have a degree in artificial intelligence to essentially take advantage. So generative AI, so let's say, the 2020 to, now range, that brings AI to all of us, right? Through large language models. And what generative AI is, simply put, is when anyone can simply speak or type to an AI system and get a pretty impressive output, right? These large language models, these generative AI systems, like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, and then you look at more image or creative based tools like Runway, like Midjourney, like DALL-E, Adobe Firefly, etc., right? Where you can put in a simple text prompt or speak in many cases and get something visual, right? You can get a photo, you can get a video, you can get an audio track, right? You can get a voiceover. So this new generative AI phase, not to be confused with AGI, has really democratized how the US works and what we can all accomplish with artificial intelligence. But it is but a small footnote in the larger umbrella of artificial intelligence. All right, so now let's look at what artificial general intelligence is. All right, so this is a type of AI that can understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks, similar to how a human would, effectively performing any intellectual task. Okay, that's the difference. For the most part, AI or generative AI, if you will, performs a more narrow, right? Not even going to get into narrow intelligence, but AI, generative AI, performs a narrow base of tasks or a narrow set of tasks, right? Hey, recap this PDF. Hey, write this blog post. Hey, create this image, right? You're kind of working on one task at a time, and it's a task that kind of the AI system has clearly been trained on. So AGI is slightly different. That is when a machine or a system or, who knows, a software, right? What shape AGI will eventually take. But that's when it can perform a broad range of tasks at the same or higher level than a human, right? Now let's talk about artificial superintelligence, right? We got to get the whole acronym soup here, y'all. So, artificial superintelligence, or ASI, is a more of a hypothetical AI that surpasses human intelligence in all aspects, including creativity, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. ASI would be capable of self improvement, that's a big thing, and could potentially outperform humans in any cognitive task, leading to profound implications and potential risks. All right, I simplified it here. Think of AI like this. AI is like, oh, look at them, look at what the machines can do. AGI is, oh, the machines are way better than my job than me. And ASI is, oh, be fearful of the machines. All right. Yes, that's a very oversimplified way, but that's a way that I think about it in my mind, right? And yeah, we've been at this. I think we've been teetering, right? If I'm being honest, we've been teetering on this AI AGI line, I'd say, for the past 6 months, right? Between like, oh, look what the machines can do, and oh, is this AI actually better than my job than me, right? And I think that, again, if you are looking at narrow applications, I don't think there's any denying that with certain skill sets, AI is way better, way better than a single human, right? So let's just say if you are a single human and all you do is data analysis, right? All day, AI is way better than the best human out there, right? But that's a single task. That is a narrow focus. That doesn't mean that you can talk with an AI system and it can literally do anything and everything that a human can do. That's kind of when we talk about AGI, that's kind of the benchmark, right? It can perform any task without the need to train it, without the need to necessarily show it examples, right? We're essentially with a zero shot prompt or with little training, with little upfront information, you could type or chat or interact with a system that automatically is going to outperform almost the best human on any task. I think we're getting close. I think we're getting a lot closer. All right. So now let's talk about some of the reasons why I think development and the distance between where we are now and whatever that AGI finish line is diminishing quickly, if I'm being honest. And I think one of the biggest reasons, actually, is now you have the tech titans of the world just racing toward AGI, literally. And let me just call this out. The concept of a company pursuing or contributing to artificial general intelligence, AGI, was straight up taboo, right? 10 years ago. OpenAI was actually, in 2015, it was one of the first companies that was saying, like, hey, we're working toward AGI. I mean, at the time, they were a little known startup. OpenAI was not what it is now back in 2015 to 2019. Very few people, even very few people who worked in the tech space knew what OpenAI was, unless you had a niche in or around AI or were particularly interested. You didn't know OpenAI or that this small startup, was working toward artificial general intelligence. But now it's different. It's different, y'all. And let me just say this. Up until 2-ish years ago, you did not have the largest companies in the world openly working toward AGI. Like I said, 10 years ago, it would have been taboo for a big tech company to say this. It would have been controversial. But I think through this, we'll just call it this experiment over the last 18 months, maybe since ChatGPT was released, now companies and the US economy sees and understands the value of large language models and the value of businesses using AI top to bottom. So, not that it's become trendy to work toward or talk about AGI, but I think that the business world has opened its eyes. I think because they see the dollars, right? The more you talk about AI in your earnings calls, the higher your stock price goes, right? But now you have all, not all, but almost all of the 4 or 5 of the top 7 largest companies in the US openly either chasing AGI or openly collaborating toward achieving AGI. Like I said, this is straight up taboo 10 years ago, right? If a C-suite executive said, "Yeah, we're working toward AGI," would have been a red flag, right? They would have the board would have put out a memo. It would have been bad. Now it's almost the opposite. Now, if you're a tech conglomerate and you're not openly working toward AGI, the board might just say, "Why? Why not? This is something you should be doing." Whereas before it was, "Oh no, we shouldn't be doing that. When we achieve AGI, what happens to our jobs?" Right? Let's look at the proof. NVIDIA, they've been the largest company in the world. Now they're top 3. They provide the hardware and software and tools for AI development. They support AGI research through partnerships and infrastructure. And their CEO, I was literally in the room a couple of feet from Jensen Huang when he said this. He did say that we would achieve AGI within 5 years. Okay, let's keep going. Microsoft is collaborating with OpenAI on AGI development. And OpenAI has obviously been the leader in the pursuit of AGI, or one of the leaders. All right. Let's say they're probably some of the first. Okay. And Microsoft sees AGI as the next step in AI evolution, and they're actively researching AGI technologies. Y'all, it's 2 of the 3 largest companies in the world. Although they're not, that's not their mission. Achieving AGI is not their mission. They're supporting the very companies that do, and they are collaborating and they are researching it. Meta. All right, here we go. Top 6 company in the US. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, right? They are actively working on AGI. They have a new project just announced to build an open source AGI, and their CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, views AGI as a key company goal, right? He's really shifted his focus from, it was social media a while ago, during Facebook's early days. Then it was the metaverse. And now there's been a very hard pivot over the last year and a half toward not just artificial intelligence, but artificial general intelligence. Okay. Yes. The CEO of one of the largest and most powerful companies in the world said achieving AGI is a key for his company. Would have been blasphemous 10 years ago, y'all. Anthropic. All right. So Anthropic believes that AGI is imminent within a couple of years. They estimated human level AGI by 2030. And even the chief of staff, this made big headlines a while back. Even the chief of staff believes that AI might take her job within 3 years. Yeah, the chief of staff, the person in charge of staffing, one of the most influential and powerful companies in the AI space said that. Then we obviously have OpenAI. They've been actively pursuing AGI since their inception. That is part of their mission, is achieving a safe AGI. So they believe AGI is inevitable and desirable, and they aim to develop AGI that outperforms humans on most tasks. And kind of their definition of it is a highly autonomous system that outperforms humans at most economically valuable work. All right. More receipts, y'all. Let's talk about this. We're going to take a little bit of a historical view here and talk about why these AGI predictions keep changing, right? So I just mentioned there Anthropic, OpenAI, Meta, Nvidia. Some of the either CEOs or leaders of these companies are saying we're going to see AGI in a couple of years, maybe 5 years, but definitely by the end of the decade. Which, if I'm being honest, can be a scary concept, right? Because it very quickly reshapes, AGI does, reshapes what humans are capable of and what machines are capable of. And that obviously has both swift and long-standing impacts to society, to business, to our worlds, right? I'm not out here, speaking in hyperbole. That's the truth. So let's talk about why these AGI predictions keep moving. All right. So a very kind of famous graph here, y'all. And hey, for our podcast audience, this is one of the ones where you're going to want to check the show notes and come back and maybe watch this on YouTube or LinkedIn. And you can leave a question too, and I'll do my best to answer it or tag someone that can. All right. But this is one of those charts I think you have to see. But I'm going to do my best to describe it. So this is a chart from ARK Invest. Okay. And the title of this chart is Expected Years Until a General Artificial Intelligence System Becomes Available. All right. So essentially, these are predictions charted over time on when leading experts, so these are averages, essentially, how long until leading experts say that we will achieve AGI? Okay. So if you look at before GPT-3, so like I said, the GPT-3 technology was actually introduced in 2020 and made available, right? I'd say most of the world didn't know about this technology until ChatGPT in 2022. So if we look at pre-2020, the average expert said it would be at least 80 years. Okay. Let me repeat this. This is 5 years ago. The average expert said it would be 80 years until we achieved AGI. Okay. And then this graph here from ARK Invest kind of plots different key milestones and then how those milestones seemingly impact these experts, right? Because this is ARK Invest, I believe, was doing these studies on an ongoing basis and plotting them on an ongoing basis year by year. Or it looks like actually multiple times a year. All right. So then we look when GPT-3 was announced, that 80 years went to 50 years. Okay. And then Google kind of got on board, right, with its Lambda models. All right. And then it went from 34 years, the average. Oh, how long is it going to take? Went from 34 years to 18 years. All right. Then ChatGPT launched. Shortly there followed by GPT-4 launched, the premium and more capable version. Now, and I'm going to be interested to see the next time this chart is updated. So essentially in late 2023, now we're at 8 years. So again, post ChatGPT, post GPT-4, now the average expert kind of forecast for when we will officially achieve AGI is now a little under 8 years. Okay. So again, let's talk about this. In 5 years, y'all, in 5 years, the smartest people in the world, the biggest, brightest experts, in 5 years, they went from saying we are 80 years from AGI to now we are 8 years. All right. And if I were to guess, I would say within a year, this chart the average will be 3 years or less. All right. And then you kind of see if this forecast error continues, that would plot this at about the end of 2026 or 2027, early 2027. So in less than 3 years. Or if the forecasts continue as they are now, essentially it's the end of the decade, right? We bring receipts here, y'all. We bring receipts. But I will also say, so many experts don't understand AI. They don't understand generative AI. They don't understand large language models. They are, future casting and futurists, and they're talking about, in theory. I wouldn't. Well, maybe at this point I'm an expert, right? I put out hundreds of podcasts, live streams, thousands of hours of content, talking to some of the smartest people in AI in the world, and bringing them to you all too as well, where you can ask them questions and learn from them. I'm surprised sometimes, right? When I read reports, or I read people who write these papers on AGI and AI, and I'm like, these people have no clue what they're talking about. I think even the average quote unquote expert is disastrously misinformed or ill-informed. And I think about AGI and AI development. And I think this chart proves that. This chart proves that the quote unquote smartest experts in the world were laughably underestimating the power of artificial intelligence and the pace of its development. I think it is going faster than we understand. All right, y'all. And hey, if you do have questions, let me know. John's asking if you think we can get Sam or Jensen on the show. Well, we'll see. Maybe in the future here. We'll see. That would be great. All right. Yeah, Brian, same. Yeah, if I see one more AI bubble article, I did a full rant on AI's not in a bubble. All right. So let's keep going here. We're not going to keep this one going forever. This isn't going to be an accidental 2-hour episode, but I want to talk again a little bit more about this concept of the goalposts are constantly moving. And we bring receipts, y'all. So I went back in the archives, right? So I was reading articles from as far back as Google caches could find, right? So I was reading articles from 30 years ago. Yeah, some of the earlier ones. The website design was good. So reading articles from 30 years ago on what is AGI. There weren't a lot of them, but I read many of them from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, because I wanted to see something. Has the very definition of what artificial general intelligence is, has it changed, right? Has it changed as AI becomes more powerful? Are we intentionally moving the goalpost back? Maybe because, I don't know, maybe because once you achieve AGI, it just makes things weird. So instead of saying, oh, okay, hey, it looks by most definitions, maybe we're there. Instead of saying that, we just keep moving the goalpost and saying, oh, okay, well, maybe it means something else. All right. So this was from the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. And this article was from about 10 years ago. All right. And here's essentially a shortened version of what their definition was 10 years ago. So I'm summarizing here, but it said artificial general intelligence is the ability of a system to learn and solve problems across different areas, much like a human. AGI can achieve complex goals in various situations while using limited resources. AGI can also apply knowledge from one domain to another rather than just being good at specific tasks. Huh. Weird. I don't know. At least according to this article, which it seems like was one of the most prominent, articles or pieces of research around AGI 10 years ago. I don't know. If I'm looking at these bullet points, I'm like, yeah, we're there. Right? Yeah, we are. All right. Here's another one. This one was from about 11 years ago. Sam Altman. Maybe you've heard of him. He used to blog a lot. All right. So this article, Sam Altman essentially said, all right, I'm paraphrasing here, but we'll put it in the newsletter. You can go read it for yourself. But he essentially kind of defined artificial intelligence as something that possesses the ability to understand, learn, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks similar to human cognitive abilities. Uh-huh. Aren't we kind of there? Right? So the goalposts keep moving. So it's like, have we achieved AGI? I don't know. Seems like we keep changing what AGI is because, at least according to some of these things from 10 years ago, right? You can look at these and be like, yeah, we're here, right? Obviously, as researchers learn more, they start to set maybe more detailed and specific, um, I guess, boundaries or milestones on what achieving AGI even is and what it means. Sure, I get that. 10, 20 years ago, I think AGI was actually, for the most part, a little more theoretical, right? And then as we actually get closer and closer to potentially achieving artificial general intelligence, then we start to set stricter guidelines on what are the hurdles to clear in order to officially say that we've been there. All right. We got two more points here, y'all. And these are big ones. So here's, I think, one of the kind of secret reasons that maybe why we haven't technically achieved AGI. And I think it's actually this OpenAI and Microsoft partnership. Okay. So I'll give you the super, super high level overview here. So this partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI, reportedly, Microsoft invested about $13 billion and has a 49% stake and 49% ownership stake in OpenAI. However, once the OpenAI board says that it has achieved AGI, that agreement changes. All right. And keep in mind that Microsoft did previously have a seat on the board at OpenAI, right? Huh, interesting there. It no longer does. All right. So interesting, right? Let's keep going. So essentially, Microsoft doesn't have any stake in OpenAI's future AGI tech, right? So again, I'm sure they have legal documents, right, that are, I'm sure, hundreds of pages long that aren't publicly available. But what is publicly available is essentially future AGI technology from OpenAI. Microsoft does not have a stake in that, right? So that is when their current partnership could start to change. And I guess it obviously depends on what's in those documents that the rest of the public does not really have access to. But my question is, how do they separate it? Because my outsider's viewpoint, right? I would consider myself a very informed outsider, but I'm an outsider nonetheless. So take my hot take here on Hot Take Tuesday with a grain of salt, right? But I feel, and I believe this investment was made about 5 years ago. I think at the time, neither company could foresee what this partnership would mean and how big artificial intelligence and large language models, how pivotal they would become in our day-to-day operations, right? I guess maybe best case scenario, when Microsoft made this large investment, maybe they said this is going to power the future of our operating system, right? Maybe they said best case scenario. Maybe they were just taking out an expensive flyer on very promising technology. But think now, if you're a power Windows user, you're probably using Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? Maybe your organization is dependent on this Copilot technology that is baked into the operating system of Windows, which is, guess what? Powered by OpenAI's GPT-4o technology. So I don't know if when this agreement was originally staked, if either company could have seen into the future and could fully understand how important this partnership would be to not just both of their respective companies, not just to the business world, but to the US economy. I don't think people understand. And I've gone over this in depth. I'm not going to go over it again, right? Essentially, I said, hey, if you're a knowledge worker out there in the US, you have no clue, but you are constantly using OpenAI's technology. You just don't know it. In your daily lives, in your personal lives, in your business lives, your company, the software you use, everything, whether you know it or not, is somehow powered probably by OpenAI. But also, if OpenAI, if their board says, yes, we have achieved AGI, we have the technology, how do they separate it? Right? OpenAI made a pretty big and I think a smart move when they came out with GPT-4o, and O means Omni, where essentially everything is being done under the hood by a single model, right? And presumably, OpenAI is working very hard to make that singular model more and more powerful and to give it, in theory, capabilities that would reflect artificial general intelligence. So how do they separate it, right? We know that the partnership is both as important, I would guess. It is equally as important to Microsoft and to OpenAI. So what would be OpenAI's reason to come out and say, yes, we have achieved AGI, therefore we must somehow restructure our technology. We must separate our technology. We must dilute somehow or start to dissolve or rework our partnership with Microsoft. What incentive do they have to say that, to do that, right? And also, OpenAI achieving AGI has been mission critical to them, and they've raised billions of dollars. I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating here because it's Hot Take Tuesday. But if I'm an investor looking to potentially invest hundreds of millions or billions of dollars into OpenAI, right? There's been reports that Sam Altman is looking to raise $7 trillion for some future projects centered around intelligence, centered around compute power, etc. I don't know. If said company, OpenAI, has quote unquote achieved its mission, if one of its founding missions is to achieve AGI and the board comes out and says, yes, we achieved AGI, doesn't that make fundraising exponentially harder for Sam Altman and OpenAI? I'd say yes. So what incentive then, right? Because if OpenAI comes out and says, yes, we've achieved AGI, it's great, right? Big box checked off. Huge step for humanity, huge step for technology, huge step for the future of business. What does OpenAI actually have to gain? I don't know. I'd say they might have more to lose to say that they've officially achieved AGI, right? So I think, and I wouldn't blame them, I would say OpenAI continues to move the goalposts because OpenAI, I think, also loses in some way, shape, or form again. I could be ill-informed because I don't have access to the documents and, the public doesn't as either. But it is clear that the partnership changes. The OpenAI Microsoft partnership changes. So yes, OpenAI has greatly benefited from the funding and the support and the architecture that Microsoft has provided. But at the same time, I think OpenAI is benefiting in a huge way as well. If I'm an OpenAI executive, I don't want to lose that partnership. Think of how much insights they have to gain, right? When they are presumably getting reports back from Copilot users to improve the GPT-4 technology. That's some of the most important information from a startup is essentially when us humans are telling them what's a good output and what's not. That saves them years of development time and probably billions of dollars of development time in the end. Okay. So we have to think about that. All right. Let's wrap this thing up, shall we? So why are we closer than ever? Why are we closer than ever to AGI? Well, like I talked about, it has been unprecedented up until this point that some of the largest companies in the United States are openly working toward achieving AGI or actively supporting and openly supporting those companies that are doing that. Like I said, a decade ago, more, 15, 20 years ago, it would have been straight up taboo as a big company, as a public company to say, yeah, we're working toward AGI. People would have called you a apocalyptic crazy, and your stock, if you were a public company, would have went in the toilet. Now, if you're a big tech company like Amazon, like Meta, like Microsoft, you almost have to either be explicitly and outwardly working toward AGI or indirectly how working there, because I think the dollars have started to make sense of what AGI means to business and to the US economy. Someone write that down. That was good, right? Yeah, this is y'all. This is unscripted and unedited. Aside from some bullet points I put up on the screen. All right, so that's number one. Also, two of the most powerful AI startups in the world are either directly working toward it or indirectly supporting it in OpenAI and Anthropic. And then last but not least, y'all, and this was kind of referenced at the beginning of the show when we talked about Google Gemini giving away 1.5 billion tokens per day for developers. That's wild. That's wild, right? And then also OpenAI similarly said, "Hey, GPT-4o Mini, it is free." They announced this more than a month ago. They said it is free to fine-tune through essentially the end of September. So these companies have essentially been giving compute. They've been giving tech like this technology, this inference power. They've been giving away intelligence for free, right? It is now to the point, right? There's this saying in the AI community, intelligence too cheap to meter. One of the biggest obstacles to achieving AGI 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago was the cost. It was the cost and the availability. If you were a tech company 10 years ago, or if you were a scrappy startup 10 years ago, and if you wanted to work toward AGI, it would be nearly impossible. It would be nearly impossible, right? Now, not so much, right? Now, if you want to give AGI-esque capabilities to your business, right? It is essentially free to do right now. Y'all, like 10, 15, 20 years ago, you had to have millions or billions of dollars. It's free now, right? For businesses, at least, right? Obviously, these companies, this is a cost for them to bring people into their platforms and to keep them there. But there's a race for this. But also, even for these companies, the cost of compute has gone down exponentially, right? Essentially, GPU chips. So these chips that these big companies need to create next generation AI. 10 years ago, the chips used to be much more expensive and much less powerful. The cost of compute is going down exponentially. Most estimates say, even in the last couple of years, it's gone down tenfold. Tenfold. The same thing with cloud computing. Tenfold in years. So the rate at which intelligence and GPUs and the cost to get to AGI has gone down exponentially in the last, just the last couple of months. It has turned into a sprint into giving companies essentially intelligence, giving them compute for free. All right. We are in unprecedented times, at least when it comes to AI development and if and when AGI is possible. All right. I'll wrap it up by saying this, y'all. I'll wrap it up by saying this. I think we're going to be there very soon. I think we are going to achieve AGI very soon. I just gave you all the receipts. If we're looking at how AGI was commonly defined 10, 15, 20 years ago, we've already achieved it. The definition of today, I think, will be there in less than 5 years. It's a given. But will that definition continue to move? I would say so. But y'all, whether you are just an individual who's interested in AI, a business leader, or maybe you are someone who's working in the AI space, AGI is inevitable, right? You saw on that chart 5 years ago, they said we were 50 years out. Or they said, no, sorry, they said we were 80 years out 5 years ago. Now they're saying 8. We've gone from an 80-year projection to an 8-year projection. And like I said, I think when the next time these charts are updated, it's going to be like 3 years. We are going to get there very soon. All right. So what does that mean for the future of work? What does that mean for the future of business? What does that mean for your future career? I don't have those answers yet, but that's why we're going to be here every day helping you figure that out, bringing on experts from across the world, from all these big tech companies. We're giving you examples of how companies large and small are growing with generative AI, how people are changing the trajectory of their careers, real use cases. That is what everyday AI is all about. All right. So when will we achieve AGI? I'd say sooner than we might think. Like I said, by old definitions, I think we're already there, but I think it's going to be a matter of years. All right. I hope this was helpful, y'all. If so, please repost this, share this with someone in your network. I don't know. Maybe if you do, I'll send you even more spicy takes that were too spicy for the show. All right. So if this was helpful, please let us know. If you're listening on the podcast, please click that follow button, leave us a rating if this is helpful. We put so much time, energy, and effort into cutting through all the nonsense and giving you what actually matters. So also make sure, if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for our free daily newsletter, and check out the Thanks a Million giveaway to celebrate the Everyday AI podcast hitting 1 million downloads. We are going to be giving away a lot of cool prizes, giveaways, a year of ChatGPT or your favorite large language model for whoever has the most referrals. So when you sign up, you're going to get a unique URL. Then you can send that to anyone. You can post that online. You can email that to someone. You can text it to them, whatever. But if this show is helpful, if the newsletter is helpful, if the live stream is helpful, if getting access to world-leading guests and being able to ask them questions is helpful, please share this with your friends. Also, please join us tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.